going on, everybody? My name is David Kocher. I am an actor and I am a producer. I've been acting about 6 years now. I really started learning around like 2018 or so. And I've been wanting to be an actor for um, definitively since about 2012. And yeah, I've been wanting to do that since then. But then, of course, life happens. But I was able to find the means of actually studying acting classes, and yeah, it's been very beneficial, very helpful. Got to take acting classes. So my all-time favorite movie is Superman the movie. When I was a kid, I just absolutely loved it. I love the Christopher Reeve movies. I love the Batman movies. And for a very long time, like when I was a kid, I wanted to be an actor. When I got into like junior high, high school, and like even as a young adult, I kind of fell out of that because growing up in Burbank, you're around actors and industry people, and just kind of seeing the different people and the personality types, and seeing how they were really trying to be off to the profession of acting. But I connected with a friend of mine about 10 years ago, and a realization occurred like, yeah, actually, I could do this. And that was when Zack Snyder's Man of Steel movie came out, and I was like really ecstatic about it. I was like, oh my God, they're making another Superman movie. And that was when Marvel was also making their cinematic universe. And when they announced they were making a DC extended universe, that was like the fire under my ass. Like, oh man, I want to be an actor, so I can be a superhero. It's like the closest thing you could get to being a superhero is being an actor playing that. And that was my motivation. That was kind of like, you could say that was like my North Star, really guiding me even to this day. You could say that my reasons for wanting to be an actor initially were very like superficial. Well, it's like, well, David, if you want to be a superhero, why don't you just dress up for Halloween? Well, I mean, yeah, you could do that, but why not go as far as you can? And yeah, that's pretty much that. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, going back to that. So when they were announcing Zack Snyder's Justice League, like this was like 2014, like 2015. Um, Initially, I wanted to play the Flash, and then here's the thing: the reason why, like, I wanted to play the Flash, was, I was like, okay, well, I was like, that would be cool to play. I really didn't think the reasons of it. But then they announced Ezra Miller, and then they announced Jason Momoa as Aquaman. So they announced all of the Justice League members one by one. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Jason Momoa as Aquaman, Ezra Miller as the Flash, Ray Fisher as Cyborg. And so there was like six of them, but there was one left, and that one was Green Lantern. And so I thought to myself, okay, well, maybe I could play Green Lantern. And then I just played with it, and then I at first I thought, okay, well, they're probably going to cast like Chris Pine as Hal Jordan Green Lantern, and then I thought, well, maybe I'll just settle for Kyle Rayner, who's like I don't want to say a secondary Green Lantern, but he's kind of the one that took over Green Lantern in the 90s. If you know the Green Lantern mythology, you know that Hal Jordan went bad, he went evil, he became Parallax, and then this Kyle Rayner character took over, and he became the Green Lantern in the 90s until Hal Jordan was resurrected by Jeff Johns in the 2000s. But then something in me in 2017 flipped a switch where I was like, you know what, if I'm going to be specific with my goals and I really want this goal to be a definitive thing, why not go for Hal Jordan? Why not go for Hal Jordan? So then from 2017 on, I really made it a goal of mine to want to play Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. And going back to like my reasons for wanting to do this is because my absolute like love of like DC Comics, it roots from Superman. And so whether it was Flash or Green Lantern, the reason why I wanted to play either one of those two, because one, I thought that's probably like the most like logical thing of a character that I could possibly play, was because if I could be either one of those characters, I could be fighting side by side with Superman, because I absolutely fucking love Superman. I love Superman. Superman is pretty much like my favorite superhero, I guess you could say. Although I have read more Green Lantern stuff than Superman, but yeah. So I really didn't, in 2017 when I decided to really pursue Green Lantern. I knew of Green Lantern, like I knew of his abilities, but I didn't really know any of the mythology of Green Lantern. I outside of like animation, I knew that he had a ring that you could do constructs, and you could do things with these constructs, like make like an enormous, you know, um, like boxing glove, or like um, airplanes, and have them like, you know, shoot into the bad guys he was fighting. So I knew it was there was that element, but I really didn't know about who Hal Jordan was, and I didn't really know about like the Green Lantern mythology. And I had seen the movie. I'd seen the 2011 movie with Ryan Reynolds, and I kind of dug it. I actually did like it. I did give it a chance, but as far as yeah, like Green Lantern goes, in 2017 was when I really decided to start reading the comics. So I read the John Broome comics from this, I believe it was like the 60s, like the Silver Age. And then I read that first, and then I got into Jeff Johns' incredible 9-year run, and that really grounded me into Green Lantern mythology, like with the emotional spectrum and the different Lantern cores. And then I read some of the stuff from the 80s where, you know, Hal Jordan's an alcoholic. So yeah, as you can see, I'm going on. I'm around. I could talk about this for a while, but yeah. Yeah, so I've done a few like plays or like little shows for my acting school at Actors Workout Studio. I studied under Fran Montano, Irene Muzzy. My first acting coach ever was Tanya Lynette Smith, and then I also studied with Ricky Pete. But mostly I've just done like short films. That's pretty much what I've done. I think when you get started in this business, you kind of just say yes to everything just to, you know, get started, and then you quickly realize that you shouldn't say yes to everything, because there's a lot of factors you have to take into account in terms of what type of product or what type of film you want to make. So, well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you say yes to everything, and then also too, you meet people in the moment, like whether you're doing background work or whether it's people in your acting school. And you say yes to that because you just want to be included in something, and then there's that hope of well, maybe I make this and it gets recognized, and that's pretty much like 99% of people in this town, is like they make something and they hope that it gets seen and it gets the recognition and the success that they hope and dream for. However, though, the thing is with this business, it is a business, and also it's a craft. So there's many different layers, you know, to making a cake or making a film, a good film or a good delicious cake. And so the thing is, like, one of the benefits that I've had is I've had the luxury of connecting with people who know how to tell stories. I'll be the first to tell you, I couldn't tell you a good script from a bad script. I mean, you could read something and it might read good on paper, but then you shoot it and then you edit it and then you realize, actually, this is not as good, you know, as I thought it was going to be. So there is a structure to storytelling. That's what my friend Eric, Marissa, and Miguel, they really ingrained in me, that story is fundamental. Story is everything. If you don't have a good story, then you're wasting everybody's time, including your own, first and foremost. So that's something that I do plan to do, is to go to film school to learn like the fundamentals of storytelling and so forth. So yeah, and that's the thing, though. I mean, the thing is that I look for, you know, you obviously in this town, you meet everybody. Everybody's very quick to exchange information with you, but what I look for is longevity with friendships and relationships, and really like keeping them close. Like before, it's like you connect with all these people, and you were on set working with somebody that you really enjoyed, and then you don't hear from them ever again. It's like you only hung out with them that one time. And not to say that those moments don't count and they don't mean something, they do. but you really got to know who your people are, and you really got to know who you're for, and you got to know who's for you, and you just got to know like what your value is and what that person's value is with who you're aligning with, and just keep it consistent, keep it going. And then sure enough, something is bound to happen. I mean, you look at a bunch of people like Judd Apatow, and now it's funny because I never really understood that before, but when you're in it, you understand why people continuously work with the same people over and over again, because there's a bunch of people out in this town that are just, unfortunately, they're just not up to standard. They're full of shit. They're hard to work with. I mean, there's many horror like set stories out there, and you can avoid those when you know who to work with. So, well, the role that I really like, that I like thus far the best, is the one that I just finished. It's a short film that I made with Lucas Colshaw, aka LJ Colshaw, Lucas James Colshaw. We did a short film titled "An Innocent Guy," and it's based off of a Batman graphic novel, Black and White. So it's like a 7-minute short film. We incorporate like little miniatures. Uh, it's like in black and white, and it's like a noir type of stuff. So I play like a guy that fantasizes about killing Batman, and we also like incorporate like action figures and toys. It's cool. We have like I'm really excited to see how it turns out. I trust Lucas. He's one of like definitely like one of my key like close people that I can confide in with like about my acting career. He's very qualified professional film director, 100%.
So that's coming soon.
Yeah, it's coming out in the next like couple months, but he's just doing the color grading because he's also editing it, and it's in post production, but he's working on it. I like what I've seen on it so far. So yeah, so I do have a YouTube channel. So my grandmother, she passed away last December, and I was taking care of her like the last like year of her life, and when she passed away, that really freed me up, and it really like opened up my perspective on life and things. And I thought to myself, okay, you know what, it's time to really put myself out there. And I was kind of seeing how like the state of the industry was. I mean, the strikes were kind of like, I think they might have just been over, they might have just finished. So I told myself that I was going to really put myself out there more with my YouTube channel. And the whole reason why I've been putting out as many videos as I have been lately is because I really want people to get a sense of who I am, and also just my legacy, just to have something to be remembered by. I don't have any kids right now, but I would like to have children someday. But to have something to leave behind in an artistic way, so that, my family in the future can look back and be like, oh, look, this is what, your granddad made, So, but yeah, it's mostly just, I'm not doing the YouTube channel to get, I mean, it's obviously, yes, it's nice to get likes. It's nice to get subscribers. It's nice to expand in that way, but I'm not doing the YouTube channel to be a YouTuber and, make YouTube. I'm just using it as a means to give people a sense of really who I am, like authentically. And I really could care less if I get paid for YouTube. I do enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun. I get to do it with my friends, and it is growing. It's nice, but I mean, I could care less if I had, 0 subscribers, or if I had, 1 million subscribers. If and when I ever did have 1 million subscribers, I would literally be doing it the same way that I've been doing it now, which is just being authentic, having fun, just showing what I'm already doing, whether that's smoking cigars, whether that's, trying out different foods in Burbank. That's another thing too. Like, I'm from Burbank, so I really want to connect the dots with people that, yeah, like I am from Burbank, like this is my hometown. Like, I have every right to be here because I was born here, and I'm going to show that I belong here. So that's yeah. That's a great question, by the way. I think there is a difference. I mean, there's fame for, different reasons, different levels. I guess I mean, there's Logan Paul, who's obviously like a very famous like influencer, who's now like a wrestler. There's like a famous actor like Leonardo DiCaprio. So I guess there's like like different levels of fame. I guess you could say that, you know, Dwayne the Rock Johnson. I mean, he's obviously like very famous, but I guess there's just different degrees of fame. That's a pretty like it's a very like layered. It's a very strong question that has a lot of layers to answer that. If that makes any sense. Yeah, a director that I would really want to work with. I really like Guillermo del Toro. Guillermo del Toro. I think he's like really just brilliant. Yeah, I like The Shape of Water. Really like Pacific Rim. I really like his take on visual effects and of course like practical effects. Like I think he's really good. Sam Raimi. I mean, I'm a DC Comics guy, but the only Marvel movie I would ever consider wanting to work on would be Sam Raimi Spider-Man 4 if and when that ever gets made, or Sam Raimi Spider-Man 5. If that it could ever happen, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, but knock on wood, but like, I wouldn't want to do anything like, you know, big. It could be like, it could be a cameo. It could be something small. I don't. I'm not saying I want to play like a villain or like a hero. I just you know, a cameo would be cool. Yeah. So James Gunn is the head of DC Studios right now. For obvious reasons, he's a guy that I really want to connect with, and I just found this out recently, but he's also a cigar smoker as well. I really didn't look much into it. I think it just kind of just showed up. I saw it in my feed that he was like on the cover of Cigar Aficionado with Chris Pratt, and then I got to see what type of cigars he likes, like Opus X, with like just I think he said that he got into those because of Sylvester Stallone. So, um, yeah, and he's directing Superman. So and the thing is, when it comes to that Superman movie, I'm really excited for it because when David Corn Sweat announced in 2021 that he wanted to play Superman, I thought to myself, dude, that's amazing. Like, because I saw him on The Politician and I thought he was really good. And I totally saw the potential. He went to Juilliard just like Christopher Reeve. He's 6'4", he's American, and he just has that gentle, firm, like just that masculine presence of it. Like, I really am curious to see what he does with that. But yeah, he's working on Superman. Um, yeah, I'd like to meet James Gunn. But just knowing the fact that he is a cigar smoker is a huge plus. So that I think we would at least have something to talk about. If we didn't get along with anything else, I think we could at least get along with smoking cigars. So, you know, it's funny because I've heard two other people that are like, without a doubt, they're cigar aficionados, but both of them have said that after smoking smoking cigars for 20 years, I realized that I don't have a favorite brand, but I do have a few favorite cigar sticks though. Like I love, obviously one that we love to smoke. It's the Socrates. Socrates is one. Amazon Base and this another good one. I love the God of Fire Series B. That's another great stick. What else? Definitely one of my personal favorites would be My Father, the Judge. My Father cigar, the Judge. That's whenever I want to like be like reflective and like really like ponder and reflect on life and really kind of have like a Godfather. Like there's a scene. Okay, so there's a scene at the end of The Godfather Part 2 where you see Michael Corleone and he's just staring off the lake and he's just like really like deep and just reflective. Whenever I'm smoking My Father, the Judge, I like tap in and tune into like that like picture in my mind of like Michael Corleone at the end of Godfather Part 2. So okay, best advice I ever received, which is also the best advice I ever received just in terms of life, is just be who you are. Be who you are. Um, what I loved about acting is that it really freed me from my mind. And I mean that in the sense where I really was somebody who suffered a lot from analysis paralysis, and it's helped me get to where I am now in terms of like my life and how I live today. But I used to be like very in my head and like wanting to know all the answers before actually like just doing it. And honestly like you're better off just starting and just doing it no matter where you are. Like if you could be like in the shitter, you could be at like the low of the low, but as long as you like decide that this is where I want to go and you're consistent with it. You know, one of my favorite quotes is just be bold and mighty forces will come into your aid. You just got to just be consistent. So when it comes to like acting, because I studied like Meister acting, um, uh, it really helps you really get in tune with your body and your emotions. And so what happened a lot is like I didn't know that I was doing this, but I was really denying my emotions. And so I would suppress it. So if I was having feelings of insecurity, doubt, you know, timidity, I wouldn't own those things because I didn't want to be perceived as weak. But now I realize by actually speaking to your emotions in the moment, you actually give yourself the permission to actually shine a light on it and let it be and release it that way. So it's really helped me manage like mind and emotions and and really being like having a high level of self-awareness. So that is one thing I could say to you about acting with that as well. So you know what, I'm gonna give a very loaded answer, and I'm not afraid to like say it how it is. When it comes to that, um maybe like a few years ago I'd be like hesitant, I'd be like, maybe you shouldn't say that, but I feel like we're kind of in that time right now where it doesn't matter anymore. But I think we're definitely seeing a lot of things in the industry right now in regards to uh, how do you say, like artificial intelligence, and also like diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think diversity, equity, and inclusion is it's a beautiful thing. It's great. Um, you know, I mean, to use like a terminology that's used today, you could say technically I'm a person of color. I'm half Nicaraguan and I'm half white. I'm half German from my dad's side. And I think it's great. I think to have, films that are inclusive like that, it's a wonderful, beautiful thing. Um, I just think what we're seeing right now is the emphasis on what good storytelling is. And I feel like the industry right now, I feel like between like the actor strikes and the writer strikes and everything else that's been happening in Hollywood, like with the Me Too movement and stuff like that, uh, right now the industry is kind of really reevaluating, okay, what's working and what's not working. It's like, yeah, you check all these boxes, but is this story good? And I credit my friend Eric J. Vasquez, uh, who really helped me kind of cement that. Because the thing is, when I first got into this industry, this was like 2018, like really, really like pursuing this. This was kind of like at the cusp where there's like a lot of messaging out there about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and he was the one that was kind of like, yeah, I mean that's all good, but how good is the story? Is this a story that, even though it checks off all these boxes, is it a story that we're going to be talking about 500 years from now? You know what I mean? So that's I guess like one aspect of the industry where it's like, okay, cool. Like I don't really care what your ethnicity is or what your race is. It's like, who are you as the person? So I mean that's one section. I think the industry is going through, okay, what's working with this and what's not, and how can we make it as organic and authentic as it is without feeling like it's forced or really trying to shove it down people's throats, when it's like, I just want to watch a good movie. I don't want to be like scolded for being different than you. So it's kind of like it's just interesting how it can kind of really go off the rails when it's not done the right way. So there's that. But as far as like artificial intelligence goes, I literally was having lunch with somebody yesterday that was showing me a podcaster that made an artificial variant of himself, and the artificial variant of himself was interviewing him, and it was very hard to tell the difference. And that was very interesting, fascinating, but also like kind of scary. And we were literally just talking about how it's like, yeah, if they wanted to, which is, it's like, what? It's like they could make a Superman 5 movie with Christopher Reeve with AI. And I mean, you could say that sounds interesting and cool, but it's also like, okay, you could make that, but in the back of everybody's head, that's he never did that. That's not Christopher Reeve. You know what I mean? So it's like, do I really want that? Now here's the thing. I I completely understand that we're in that time now where there's going to be a crowd. Oh, let's see it. Let's fucking see it. Hell yeah, man. Let's get Tim Burton's uh Batman 3 with Michael Keaton. And it's like, okay, but it's like it's not real. And so that's the thing though. It's like we're in that phase right now where we're in a transitional phase right now in terms of it's going to get harder and harder to know what's real and what's fake. And so, with that said, knowing just seeing the technological advances, the thing that I want to stay true to, I think what's very essential, what's very crucial in this time for the sake of humanity, is we have to find a way to preserve and really connect with our humanity, really know like what it means to be human and preserve that and have that be, uh, have that be preserved through like reality, like generation after generation. Because it's scary. It's like, man, dude, like I'm thinking about, okay, if I had kids, it's like how am I gonna raise them? How am I gonna educate them? How am I gonna teach them to be good men or women? Whichever I guess you'd say. But yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy, but hopefully fun at some extent. So we'll see. Yeah, I do think it is going through an identity crisis, collectively speaking. However, though, I do think there will be pioneers that will. I mean, there's always somebody that comes to the surface. There's always somebody. I mean, history shows time and time again. Obviously, we've never been in this particular time right now, but if we look back on patterns of history, there's always somebody or individuals, at a small amount that come together and really rise to the surface and really be the beacon of light to show, okay, this is where we need to go. So I think we're going to see those. I mean, I think we have a few of them right now. I mean, you could say, I think James Gunn, uh, I'm actually really happy that he's running DC Studios right now because he has a track record, but he also has like a good sense of like blending visual effects and like practical effects. And that's kind of something that I would like to see more of. Is just more practicality, like miniature sets. Like you see movies like in the 80s and in the 90s, and if you see those and they look real. Or if you see a movie that was made in the 60s, like you see a period piece movie that was made in the 60s, your brain kind of goes, oh yeah, that you feel like you're actually in that moment of time because of how old the footage looks, like from the 60s, like Technicolor. And when I see movies that are made today, like when I see a period piece that's made in 2024 and it's supposed to take place like at 1600s, it's like, okay, well, this footage, by already seeing the footage be as glossy and as new and like 4K, it already takes me out of the story a little bit. It's like, okay, well, that really isn't 1600. It's 2024 cameras. So I would like to go back to that. Like, I don't mind shooting a movie on Technicolor or making a movie today and having it look like it was made back then for those purposes. So yeah. So one lounge that I really do like is I like the Cigar Warehouse in Sherman Oaks. I really love that because as crowded as it is, it's very quiet. And they could have like the game on, they could have the fight on. It could be a packed house, but they have the volume low, and people just mind their own business, and they have a really good selection. And it's in Sherman Oaks, so I do like that lounge. I like Fat Stogies in Encino. The owner Jack, super cool guy. I really love that guy. And I think our home base of our lounge last night really kind of reminded me and affirmed that was a Cigar Sanctuary in North Hollywood. What they've been doing now, it seems like this has kind of been like a recent thing. Maybe they've been doing it for a long time. We just haven't been going there, but they had a barbecue in the back, so they had the fight on in the back, and then they were doing a cookout, and they were so kind and gracious, like, hey, we got all this extra meat. Do you guys want some? And it was delicious. It was delicious, and I mean, I argue that the meat that they made is not as good as any of the meat that's in like the restaurants in the LA Valley. It was really good stuff. So yeah, I'm really grateful to Cigar Sanctuary for that. Now that's a great question. See, and here's the thing though. See, Um, that's okay. That's you make a great point because it's like you could get these influencers that are famous for doing pizza reviews, and it's like, oh, let's put them in a movie. But here's the core of it: do they want to do the movie? Is that something that they want to do? And that's something I think that every individual has to look at and be honest with themselves and say, okay, yeah, I know I got X amount of followers and likes, and they want me to do this, but is it the right move for me, or am I just being boxed in and pigeonholed? Maybe that person that is being courted to be a movie, maybe they actually want to be a doctor, or maybe they want to be something else. So I mean, I understand, I get the logic of it, but I think what might end up happening over time is it's gonna be really like just said, well, do you want to do it, yes or no? And if you want to be a movie star, or if you want to do acting and you want to do it, and if you don't do it, but of course, people have vanities, and people, and that's the thing. People have a natural tendency to want to be famous. I'd be lying if I tell you that I didn't want fame at some capacity. Yeah, I do want to be known. I want to be recognized. I'd be lying if I said that I don't. You know what I mean? I think everybody wants recognition at some level, whether it's at their job or whether it's, being a movie star. So 2024 Saturn Awards. Okay, so that was like my third year going. And for those of you guys that don't know, the Saturn Awards, it's the Academy of Science Fiction and Horror Films. It's been around for going on 50 years now, going on now. And yeah, I had a really wonderful time this year. And I got to meet Grace Caroline Curry. I first saw her like at a in-person event at the LA Comic Con, and she was giving some really good advice like on acting, and she was talking about how she had to really drill like, I think like something ridiculous, like maybe like 14 pages like in a day, like last minute, and that was like, oh shit, like that could actually happen. So I met her. She's very, very kind, very gracious, and then my friend wanted to take a picture with Heather Graham. And when it comes to these types of events, you just never know who's going to be, stuck up, cold, or cool. And I was expecting her to be totally like, like, I don't want to take a picture, but she was actually very cool about it. And I won't say who, but my friend and I, we wanted to take a picture with another actress, and she just was not having it. She just was not having it. So it can happen. It can happen. There is that saying that goes, don't meet your heroes, I guess you'd say. Kind of falls into that a little bit. I've met like film directors whose work I really admire. Again, I'm not going to say who, but it was just kind of very disappointing. So when you get into this industry, be wary, and then just know that there's a chance that somebody that you really admire may not, be somebody that you really end up liking. So it's possible. But another good memory that I have is my friend, um, one of his favorite movies is A Nightmare on Elm Street, and we got to meet Heather Langenkamp, and I took a picture with him and her. And as he was walking away, he literally had a tear coming down his face. And it's just one of those things. It was just one of the most like I was like smiling and like laughing, but it was also like one of the most like, beautiful like moments, like, of like my friend that I can like look back on and be like, hey, do you remember that? So yeah. And then I got to meet Zolo from Blue Beetle, and he was very kind and very gracious. And yeah, Saturn Awards was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So
Yeah, I think that's all I've got. Is there anything you want to add, or?
No, I really appreciate doing this. This is very, yeah, I guess in a way it was very therapeutic and very like, just doing this really kind of affirms like more like, oh yeah, like this is who I am. This is what I'm putting out. Well, that's it. Yeah, I appreciate you doing this. Thanks to whoever's watching for watching this. Thanks for watching. Thank you for taking time to listen.
And like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe and share. And I'll see you on the next one.